address that in our objections, and we'll talk more about that as we go on. This talks about the water court's jurisdiction. They have exclusive jurisdiction over all these water court claims, all these water rights claims. The court will issue a preliminary decree, which it did, and they base that decree upon the statements of claim by the tribe, by data submitted by departments of the state government and the federal government, by existing compacts. There are existing compacts in Montana with other tribes, and any additional data obtained by the water judge. Additional data obtained by the water judge includes your objections. So very important to get your objection in. The decree process has several steps. First, they examined all of those things we just mentioned, and then they issued either a temporary preliminary or preliminary decree. This one is not temporary, it is the preliminary decree, and that is the public notice. So anybody who didn't get a letter was not publicly notified. I suppose they might have put it in some newspapers, where they do that in the classified section where they put notices and such, but who reads those? So not a good way to get the word out to people who are affected by this. Then there will be hearings based upon the objections that are submitted, and then the water court will issue a final decree. So that's the process, and right now we are at the preliminary decree stage. When the final decree comes out, it might be appealed to the Montana Supreme Court. But in order to appeal a final decree, a claimant, and that would be you, a landowner, water right holder, must have filed an objection during the preliminary decree time. Okay? I'm going to repeat that several times this afternoon because this is a key piece of information. This is a deadline. It is a drop-dead deadline. It's a speak now or forever hold your peace deadline, because if you do not file during the preliminary period, you are not eligible to file at the final decree period. So here again, I'm mentioning, if you believe that you have a problem with your water rights, if you believe they're going to be violated by the terms and administration of this compact, then you have to file your objection. December 6th, 2022. That's going to be on us before we know it. What the court is trying to do, what their goal is, and I'm going to read these words because they are important and some of you in the back may not be able to read them. Their goal is to reach a reasoned judgment that the agreement is not the product of fraud or overreaching by or collusion between the negotiating parties. Now, who are the negotiating parties that we just read in that heading to the letter? Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribe, government of the state of Montana, and the federal government. Those are the negotiating parties.
Where are the people?
Where are the people? Good question. We're going to ask that again and again and again. And I want to point out something else to you. When we speak about the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes being a negotiating party, that is their government that negotiated. There are a number of tribal members who are in the same boat you are. Maybe they didn't get a letter. Maybe their water rights are going to be violated. So we are talking about three governments that got together and negotiated And now, this court is going to say, well, was there collusion involved? Was there overreaching involved? And you saw that map. You saw where the reservation is and what the boundaries of the reservation are. Most of the claims are outside of that area, in that green area you saw on the map. So, one wonders, will the water court come to a good decision here? Well, I can guarantee you they won't unless they hear from us. Okay, this is also important language, because in this paragraph, they basically admit the exclusion of all of you. The purpose of the review is to ensure the agreement is fair and reasonable to those parties, the three governments, and the public interest who were not represented in the negotiations. Well, that seems like an admission to me that by excluding all of us, how could those negotiations have been fair in any way? And they go on further to say that we were not represented in the negotiations, but we have interests that could be materially injured by the operation of the compact. That is a problem. Okay, here it is again. December 6, 2022, what has to happen?
File.
Okay, I think you've got it. I may not have to repeat that again. Okay, per the objection format, and we're going to talk a little bit about this, and we're going to get a little deeper in the weeds soon. Your objection should identify the parts of the decree to which we are objecting, or you are objecting, and identify the specific grounds and evidence upon which we're basing the objection. That sounds like a lot of legalese. Sounds like you got to pull your wallet out and hire a lawyer, and many of us will choose to do that. But you don't have to. You can do this process yourself. When you are objecting to a specific water right, you need to identify that water right by its number, by the page number in the decree, and the applicable water source. So if you have a water right for irrigation, what is the source of the irrigation water? Is it Dayton Creek, Old Man Creek, whatever creek? You have to identify the source. If you are objecting on the grounds of potential problems with more than one water right, you must file a separate objection for each one. Okay? Very important. Because believe me, they're counting up these objections. I heard someone say, in fact it was an attorney, said, we'd like to see 10,000 objections filed. Well, who knows? Maybe we will. Okay, there's another reminder. It's in there, December 6th, 2022. Okay, now we're going to give you a little help. In your packet, there is a graphic, of a little toolbox. And in the toolbox are different things that you need to gather together when you're preparing your objection. You need to have the preliminary decree. And I should mention one more thing. The last page in your handout, very important page, it's a list of links and resources that you'll want to refer to and use when you're preparing your objection. That's a very important page, and we've actually added, this is the third or fourth time we've done this presentation, and we've been adding more links and resources for you. So please refer to that. So the preliminary decree, it tells you on that page where you can find a copy of that, and then you're going to refer to appendices 1 and 2, and that part of the decree refers to the basins that are affected by this. So you're going to want to have all that information. Maps, you're going to want to gather some maps that show your location in reference to all of these issues. Individual landowner needs are also important. You need your patent deed, you need your land ownership proof, you need your water rights numbers, you need your property description, off your tax bill or whatever. You need maps and some history of how water has been used on your property. And of course, you need a copy of the letter and the instructions that are in the letter on how to fill out the form. The form's not in the letter, you have to go find that, but you have one in your handout. There are instructions in the objection form that say that your objections must be specific to your land and your water rights. But there are also some general objections that should be considered by the water court. We're just unsure as to whether you should really include those. If you do include them, you want to put those after your specific objections, because the important thing for the water court to understand is your specific objections, but I think personally you should include some general objections. And an example of a general objection would be the failure to send that water court letter to all of you who raised your hand and said you didn't get it. Or any delay in your receiving the letter because you heard from your neighbor that they got a letter, you didn't get it, so you called the water court, and they said, oh, okay, we'll send you one, then you got it, but you had lost time in that available period of time that you have before December 2nd. So that's a failure on the water court's part administratively, and I think that needs to be brought up as an objection, but do not make that the first objection, because they really don't want to hear general objections. The reason I'm saying I think it should be included is because I think the water court needs to know we're not stupid. And we know they really let us down. They are not serving the needs of Montana citizens by not sending out the letter to everybody who deserves one. Can you hold your question? Okay.
Is there anybody who can very quickly describe what we're objecting to?
Yeah. We're getting to that.
This thing came to me in a letter. You're a lawyer, and I'm understanding what it said.
Okay.
I don't know what it is that they're asking for.
Okay. We're going to get to it. There's a lot to this. This is not something that we can impart to you in 15 or 20 minutes. We're going to do our best, squeeze it in today, and give you all the information you could possibly want before you go and seek professional help. We are not attorneys. We're just trying to guide you in the process. So some of the individual questions you need to consider are, how is my water right impacted by the compact claim? Is your water supply going to be impacted? Is it going to be impacted seasonally because of a drawdown? Is there going to be a drought? And so everybody has less water and they're going to pull more water away from you? All of these things need to be considered. For irrigation wells that are more than 100 gallons per minute, those are at risk of call. I talked to a gentleman today over in the Proctor Valley who irrigates from a 200-gallon per minute well, and he said to me, well, I don't need to worry about that. And I said, well, you really do. So we'll see what happens. The other thing to consider is when you read the compact and you read how it is going to be administered, there's going to be a water management board, et cetera, how is that going to impact you? What decisions might they make that will decrease the amount of water that you're currently using? I should pause here because I messed up and I forgot to have Rick and Tim and Boone and Joe speak.